I feel like the bloom is a little bit off the Arizona team now, at least ATS. Remember they started off 3-0 ATS, and they're kind of the darlings of hanging in there but still losing, and they had the one outright win against my Cowboys. Now they're going to go to the Pacific Northwest, and they're going to take on the Seahawks. Oh, boy. Seattle today, I did have them +3 and came up a little bit short. 2 shots at it late, and you don't take the first field goal because you're not thinking, you're thinking if you're PK, I'm down 4 midway through the fourth quarter, I got to go for it. You actually could have kicked the field goals there and possibly had a game winner late. But coaches don't think like that, and I get it. It's a different world. So now I got to cover a big number if you're a Seahawk backer against the Cardinals. This thing opened 6.5, and now it's already ballooned up to 8.5 rather quickly. So I look at this thing and I go, might be a time to get back on the Cardinal train. If this number keeps getting out of whack, are they good enough to at least keep it close?
Yeah, I'm not so sure of that. Look, if you looked at the game today, too, in terms of the stats, it was a pretty even game between the Cardinals and the Rams. But it was all Rams in the second half, 20-0. Just had more explosiveness, and you just see that's kind of an issue with Arizona. Obviously, James Conner being out, I think certainly hurts the running game, but they don't have the explosiveness, even though, you have Hollywood Brown and Rondale Moore. McBride now has taken more of the reps, the kid they drafted out of Colorado State at tight end a couple years ago, more of the reps than Zach Ertz certainly is, but they just lack the explosive plays, and, you kind of saw this team, it gets to a point, Dave, where it's like maybe they almost run out of gas, because you saw that against Cincinnati last week. That was a competitive game.
Right.
They were within 1 score, and then Cincinnati was just able to run away in the second half. And we're kind of seeing the true Cardinals now. Now, these guys fight, but they're just down on talent. There was a reason why they had one of, if not the lowest season win total at 4. Yeah, and then when it went down to 4, and even, it took some action down to 4. So, I would wait, and, I would certainly wait on it, because I think Seattle is going to get backed. By the way, Seattle, boy, if you had Cincinnati, man, you survived. Phew. You survived, and then I had them in one of my contest entries, and it was survival. Seattle, 381 total yards. Cincinnati,
I thought they were the better team today.
I did too. Cincinnati just 214, because I think a lot of people were buying in, and I didn't bet it personally. I just used it in the contest entry, but I think a lot of people were buying into what we saw with Cincinnati. It's like, okay, Joe Burrow is back. Joe Burrow is back. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. And Seattle, loses the turnover battle, but I thought that they were the better team the whole way. They had so many chances in the second half to take the lead against Cincinnati and just shut down the Bengals. Dude, Bengals only had 4 yards of play today, 214 total yards, couldn't run the ball, and they've struggled to run the ball anyway. And Joe Burrow, was mediocre, I would say today, but Seattle just they couldn't make it happen, and they're usually such a good west-east traveling team. They do get there in the second half, a low-scoring game, 17-13. So we know that Seattle, you're always paying a tax, by the way, in the number with Seattle, because of the home field advantage up there.
And it's real.
Yes.
I mean, that's real, and that's why it goes to a key number there of 7, all the way through another key number of 8 to get to 8.5. So that tells you that's not just a normal 2-point move from, say, 4 to 6. This is going 6.5 to 8.5 through 2 key numbers there. The Seahawks are 7-1 to win the division, even with the Niners loss and Seattle, of course, losing as well. Is there any chance that I could interest you in that number, or do you think the Niners are just a runaway train, even though this looks like a winnable game? If they can't cover it, at least you would think Seattle would be able to win this one.
Well, I'll say this. I did bet Seattle over the summer, because I thought, maybe the 49ers are going to struggle a little bit out of the gate with that offensive line. Maybe Brock Purdy being the guy, and he hadn't struggled until today. Nope. In Cleveland. So, 49ers are a well-deserved favorite, but I think Seattle's a good football team.
Yeah, I think they're legit. This might be a teasable spot for me. I know it's up to 8.5 now, where I might tease it down inside that field goal while it's still there. Because I think, if anything, this number could get to 9, 9.5, and those options of teaser.
This is absolutely, I think, going to be a popular teaser play, and probably one that I will use. They were absolutely better than Cincinnati.
Yep.
I wonder if the Cardinals, if the bubble has burst at this standpoint. So Seattle certainly, I think, is a teaser option with if you want to tease down a favorite. I usually like to tease up dogs through the key number of 3 and 7. So maybe Seattle with Atlanta, or maybe Seattle with the Giants, sure, or somebody like that. I usually like to tease those dogs when the totals are lower. That's why I'm not saying Miami, which we'll get to that game later on. That's our Sunday night game next week.
And once you see that value go from 6.5 to 8.5, does that mean you want to kind of stay off that side for the Seattle side?
Yeah, I mean, probably, but that doesn't necessarily mean I would automatically not lay it there.
Okay, so it does not necessarily mean that that's a play that you're not going to make. Just because it's gone from 6.5 to 8.5.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.